What if I told you that after the age of 80, life doesn't just change, it can even catch the strongest and most independent people off guard? Because in reality, no one is ever truly prepared for what comes after this milestone. In today's video, we're going to take a clear look at 5 quiet but profound truths that most people go through after 80, whether they're ready for them or not. These are not medical numbers or obvious symptoms. They are subtle changes. The way others treat you, the way you perceive time, and even how old memories begin to whisper things you never noticed before. You may have already sensed some of them, but couldn't quite name them. Others might surprise you. But one thing they all have in common is this: they quietly shape the way you experience your own life. And here's what matters. If you have the courage to recognize these changes, you'll feel lighter, steadier, and perhaps even stronger. Because naming the truth is the first step to owning it. By the way, before we dive into the main content, I'd like to ask you a small question. Where are you watching this video from? Leave a comment down below. I'd be so glad to know who I'm sharing this journey of health and emotional care in old age with. If you find this content helpful, consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you won't miss future videos. And now let's begin with the first change, the one that makes many people feel empty without quite knowing how to describe it. The first change. You'll find yourself being contacted less, checked in on less. After turning 80, there's something you start to notice, not suddenly but quietly, bit by bit. The phone rings less often. The calls from your children and grandchildren come less frequently. Familiar friends don't seem to come up in conversation anymore. Some have moved away, some are in the hospital, some are no longer here. You're still healthy, still clear-minded, but the appointments and meetups you used to have become fewer, then disappeared completely. Before, each week might have included a few calls from friends, a couple of coffee meetups, a family gathering, or accompanying someone to a memorial for an acquaintance who had passed. Now you might go out only once a week, just to buy a few essentials and then return to a quiet home. You turn on the TV not because you want to watch, but just to have some human voices around. You scroll through your contact list, your finger pausing on a familiar name, then pulling away. Maybe now isn't a good time to call. I might be disturbing them. And just like that, another day passes. With fewer words spoken and more thoughts kept inside. It's not that you have no one, but now the distance isn't geographical. It's in the rhythm of life. Others are busy, while you have time, too much of it. And even if you've long been used to being alone, there are still moments when that silence feels a little sharp. But please remember this: feeling that way doesn't make you weak. That feeling is completely normal, and in fact, very real. When you've crossed into your 80s, if you're feeling it, it doesn't mean you're lost. It just means you're going through something that everyone, eventually, will have to face. You are not alone in this. And the truth is, even in your quietest days, you are still learning how to reconnect with yourself. In a deeper, more silent, yet no less important way. The next change, the little things, are no longer little. Before, a common cold would only make you tired for a day or two. A small scratch would heal in a few days. A slight stumble might just make you laugh, and you wouldn't think twice about it. But after the age of 80, you start to notice that things don't work that way anymore. A cold drags on for a whole week. A bruise takes more than 2 weeks to fade. A small slip in the kitchen can keep you resting for a week, or worse, require a doctor's visit, physical therapy, or canceling other appointments. It's not that you've completely lost your strength, but one thing has changed. Your ability to recover is no longer as quick or as steady as before. Your body doesn't auto-correct like it used to, the way it did when just one night of rest could bring you back to normal the next morning. Now it's different. Skipping a meal can leave you drained for an entire day. Drinking too little water makes you dizzy. Not sleeping enough leaves you off balance for the whole morning. You can still take control, but now you need to pay closer attention and care for yourself more often, more carefully. Sometimes the hardest thing to accept isn't the physical change itself. It's the feeling that you're not as reliable as you used to be, even to yourself. If you've ever blamed yourself for feeling slower or weaker, take a moment, because the truth is, your body has served you all your life, and now it's asking for you to listen, to care more gently, instead of brushing off the little signs. You don't need to prove that you're still as strong as you once were. What matters more is knowing when to rest, when to ask for help, and when to choose safety instead of pushing through. And that doesn't make you weaker. On the contrary, it's a sign that you've lived long enough to know how to take care of yourself in a wiser way. The third change. Sometimes you feel like you're fading into the background in a crowd. You are still the same person, still with the same life experience, clarity, and the deep stories you've gathered over the years. But then one day, you notice something small. You add something to the conversation, but no one responds. You're in the middle of telling a story and someone cuts in. You say something important, but somehow no one acknowledges it. At first you think, maybe they didn't hear me. Or maybe I spoke a bit too slowly. But then it happens again and again. You're not being insulted, but the feeling of slowly fading out of a conversation, it creeps in. Quietly, but it stings a little. No one is trying to make you feel invisible. But in a fast-paced society that favors speed and youth, older people are easily seen as background instead of the center. You begin to stay quiet more, speak less, not because you have nothing to say, but because you're not sure anyone is truly listening. And if you've ever felt that way, know this: you're not the only one going through it. And you don't need to shrink yourself because of it. Because your value doesn't depend on whether others are listening. It lies in the experiences you've lived through. Things no one else can replace. You don't need to talk a lot. You don't need to compete for space in the room. You just need to keep showing up, fully present. Those who understand will listen. Those who respect you will come closer. So keep telling your stories. Keep giving your insights. Keep asking your questions. Because sometimes the calm wisdom you carry is exactly what others are not yet mature enough to recognize, until the moment they truly need it. The fourth change. Daily life starts to shrink, not because you want it to. Before, you used to go more places, even if it was just simple things: a morning walk in the park, a quick trip to the grocery store, visiting a friend for coffee, or driving to your grandchild's birthday party. Each week, there was a reason to leave the house. Each day, there was something to get ready for. Now it's different. You still want to go out, but everything feels farther, more complicated. Just thinking about getting dressed, driving, finding parking, already makes you tired. The people who used to go with you aren't around like before. Some are no longer well. Some no longer live nearby. The familiar places, that old diner, the little bookstore, the quiet corner of the library, have slowly closed down, or changed so much that you don't feel like going back. The world hasn't disappeared, but it's shifted, at a pace and in a direction you no longer want to chase. Your life has gradually shrunk to your house, then to a few rooms, and sometimes just a single chair by the window. This feeling isn't always sad. Some days you feel peaceful. But there are also times you quietly wonder, how did I used to live such a busy life, and now everything is so quiet? This isn't a sign that you're giving up. It's simply a truth. After the age of 80, life doesn't expand outward anymore. It starts going inward. It teaches you to filter what still holds meaning. Who is still important enough to call? Which appointment is still worth preparing for? And even, which moment in your day is worth keeping for yourself. Because sometimes, richness isn't in how many things you do, but in the quality of each moment you're still able to feel. The final change. Your body starts to change every day, and not according to any schedule. Some days you wake up feeling fine. Your steps are steady, your mind is clear, your hand doesn't tremble holding a glass of water. You prepare breakfast, water the plants outside, even think about going out for a walk. But the next day, for no clear reason, everything feels different. You feel tightness in your back. Standing up makes you feel a little unsteady. Your arms and legs feel heavy, like they're lacking energy. A small task like bending down to tie your shoes makes you sit back and rest for a while. There's no accident, no injury. It's just that your body now operates in a way you can't fully control anymore. And the most frustrating part isn't the soreness, the pain, or the fatigue. It's the feeling that you can no longer predict yourself. You start becoming more cautious. Not because you're afraid, but because you want to be sure. Everywhere you go, you look around to see if there's a seat. Everything you do, you test it a little, then pause to see how your body reacts. You no longer fully trust your reflexes like you used to. And you ask yourself, why is it that the body I used to rely on now changes so unpredictably? The answer is, because it has been with you for over 80 years. It has worked non-stop. It has helped you walk, move, work, love, and care for others, quietly without asking for anything in return. Now it's time for you to learn how to talk to it again, to ask what it needs, to be gentle when it slows down, not to push it and not to blame it. You don't have to be as strong as before to be enough. You just need to learn how to adjust the rhythm of your life to fit the body you have today. Some days you'll go farther. Some days all you need is to rest, breathe, and make a phone call. Both are equally valuable, because living at this age is no longer about proving anything. It's about listening, caring, and preserving what's still here in the most wholehearted way. Dear friend, we've just gone through 5 major changes that most people will face after the age of 80. Not everyone talks about them, and not everyone is ready to face them. Some changes come from the outside, like fewer phone calls or a shrinking daily schedule, and some come from within, like the feeling of no longer being heard, or a body that suddenly becomes unpredictable. At first glance, all these things might make us think that aging means retreat, a decline, a loss. But the truth is, it's not entirely like that. When you have the courage to recognize these changes, you're actually starting a new journey. A journey of slowing down, understanding yourself more deeply, and learning to love yourself in a different way. And on that journey, you are not alone. There are millions of others feeling the same as you do, also going through quiet days, tired mornings, and afternoons wondering, what can I still do now? The answer is, a lot. You can still make a phone call that someone will truly appreciate. You can still share a piece of advice that a younger person has never heard before. You can still begin a small habit, like taking a walk each morning, or writing down a memory for your children or grandchildren, and feel that you are still helpful, still meaningful. Growing old doesn't take away your value. It simply asks you to live differently, more carefully, more attentively, and more fully. If you're still watching at this point, I'd like to ask you something. Of the 5 changes we talked about, which one resonated with you the most? Which one reflects your own experience or the experience of someone you're caring for? Please leave a comment below, share a feeling, or something you plan to do after watching this video. Who knows, maybe your words will bring comfort to someone else who's feeling uncertain today, just like you are. If you found this content helpful, please hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so I can continue walking with you through the next videos. You are not growing old alone, and sometimes just knowing that someone is listening is enough to ease the heart. Thank you for staying until the end. Wishing you a peaceful day wherever you are.